In the US and here in Canada, when we were locked down, everyone traded meme stocks like they were binge watching a Netflix show. In other parts of the world, they had to get creative with things like crypto and finding ways for people who either had no access to meme stocks and some savings or had no money to participate but were willing to work to be a part of the hoopla. Today's story unfolds in the Philippines during the great pandemic of the early 2020s, where people suddenly became infatuated with what can only be described as the bizarre love child of Pokemon, Q*bert, and CryptoKitties known as Axie Infinity. This game was like your high school relationship. Complex, requiring investment, time, and everyone seemed to be doing it to be cool. Axie had its own currency, and NFTs were more crucial to players than avocados to a hipster's breakfast. Just to play the game cost roughly a $1,000 entry fee. You're probably asking, how could Filipinos afford to play this game where the average household income is around $400 per month? Well, that's where the scholarship program sailed in. Think of it as the financial aid for aspiring digital swashbucklers. It allowed players with no money but access to a phone and internet to lease Axies from the digital landlords of the game, fight digital duels, and profit share the booty. The game exploded. Although I'm skeptical over the principles of who was leasing out most of the Axies, or as I call them, landlords, still, at its highest height, the game saw millions of daily active users, creating a bubble of sorts within the ecosystem. And then it took a crazy turn. The North Koreans showed up as digital pirates. According to the Wall Street Journal, they posed as recruiting firms, as Canadian IT consultants, Japanese blockchain experts, you name it, they pretended to be it. Or at least found someone that would play the part to get them on the inside. They'd hack into computers through the clever use of Trojan horses, disguised as job applications with documents that were filled with malicious software. This keeps going. North Korea's end goal? To fund their missile programs, no less. We're talking about nukes here. Today, we're going to get into the story of how Axie Infinity grew to be a household name in the Philippines, creating hope for many that they would get to make a living playing a Q*bert knockoff, only to end in tears and giving North Korea a stronger missile program. Let's dive in. Axie Infinity's story begins in 2017, when Win Tron Trung conjured up this virtual realm. Win was spellbound by CryptoKitties, one of the original blockchain-based NFT games, and decided, hey, I can do it better. And thus, Axie Infinity was born. This pet battle fantasia, designed as an educational way to introduce the world to blockchain technology, quickly gained traction. In this game, players would breed, battle, and trade creatures known as Axies. Fast forward to 2021, and the user numbers were more inflated than a pufferfish on steroids, with asset prices skyrocketing over 650% in a single month. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. There were murmurs about Axie Infinity being a pyramid scheme. Cheap labor, they said, was the fuel to its fire. But with a 2.7 million peak monthly player count that would fill up an entire country, Axie Infinity had the growth numbers to gain interest with venture capitalists. Sky Mavis, the Vietnamese studio behind Axie Infinity, raised a cool $157 million over the course of that year, backed by the likes of Mark Cuban and Andreessen Horowitz. The game was racking in NFT transactions like a vacuum cleaner in a confetti factory, with $3.5 billion in trading volume in 2021 alone. The game accounted for more than 2/3 of the volume within the blockchain gaming space that year. Axie Infinity was all the rage in places like the Philippines, Argentina, and Venezuela, which sounds odd given the entrance fee. At its peak, the cheapest Axies that had good battle skills and cards cost around $350. Since you needed a team of 3 Axies, at the time, the initial cost of starting an Axie Infinity team was around $1,000. To combat this problem, Axie Infinity created the fairy godmother of gaming, the scholarship system, which lets players in dire straits borrow a team of Axies from a manager. These scholars had to work like digital Cinderellas, forfeiting up to 90% of their earnings and toiling away for up to 10 hours a day, all in the quest for some digital pumpkin turned carriage glory. And with a country in lockdown, people were buying in. Facebook, Telegram, and Discord were the streets of this digital gold rush, where desperate gamers scurried around looking for scholarships like they were Willy Wonka's golden tickets. And like any good pump, heroes started to emerge. Our hero from the Philippines, a 22-year-old John Aaron Ramos, who took to social media to announce that he bought 2 houses from profits earned from playing Axie Infinity alone. John started playing in November 2020 as a scholar and claimed to play it for just 2 to 3 hours a day. In a post, Ramos attributed his home purchases to the surging price of Axie's in-game token, Smooth Love Potion, which rallied 940% from 3.5 cents on April 24th to 36 cents by May 2nd. I believed in Axie's ability to lift us up. I held an SLP, paid attention to the trend of the Axie community, and did some research. Then I played with the price of SLP to have enough funds to buy 2 houses and 1 team. Interesting to note, that post was taken down as of the time of recording. Sky Mavis, the puppet master behind Axie Infinity, was raking in dough too. Every trade had a 4% transaction fee, essentially greasing Sky Mavis's palms. By March 2022, they increased that transaction fee a full percentage point. It was like a concession stand charging an extra fee for the popcorn you already paid for. And it didn't stop there. The managers got greedier, and the terms of scholarships turned ludicrous, mirroring the script of a low-budget dystopian movie. As the market got saturated with wannabe crypto moguls, the scholars were left holding worthless digital beans instead of the golden goose. As for Sky Mavis, the company garnered a cool $3 billion valuation on the backs of those users being paid peanuts. And then came the crash. In late July 2021, SLP plummeted from 42 cents to under a penny. As restrictions from the pandemic started to ease, the scholars found more promising ways to generate an income and left Axie behind. Axie's creators tried to patch the hole by eliminating SLP farming and allowing players to toss SLP into tournament prize pools. But the winds were not in their favor, and this was just the start of trouble. And then things took a bizarre turn. Enter North Korea and the crafty North Korean Lazarus group, who, like Pirates in the Night, decided to plunder Axie's treasure. The hack to the Ronin network took place on March 23rd, 2022. Using a hoax job ad, a fake recruiter, and a PDF file with the cunning of a Trojan horse, they managed to con an engineer from Sky Mavis. With complete access to Sky Mavis's code base and an RPC backdoor, they had all the keys to the treasury. After 2 major withdrawals, Axie was robbed of 173,000 Ether and 25 million USDC tokens. The value of the hack, around $625 million. Fast forward to March 29th, 6 days after the hack, and the air is buzzing in Los Angeles at the NFT LA convention. Axie Infinity's co-founder, Jeff Zerlin, is the keynote speaker, and he's ready to bring down the house. The crowd is popping bottles and wallets alike as they eagerly anticipate his address. But then, a plot twist, 30 minutes before Jeff goes on stage, Axie Infinity drops a blog post spilling the beans. Zerlin, who had been riding the high of fan adoration, is now serving as the bearer of bad news, claiming he only got the news at 2 a.m. that very morning. And guess what? The Axie team did what anyone does when their cash gets snatched up in the crypto world. They called CZ. By April 2022, Sky Mavis raised another $150 million from Binance. But as with all crypto shenanigans, it didn't end there. In July 2022, Bloomberg reported that the CEO of the company had moved $3 million worth of AXS, the native token of Axie, to Binance before announcing the hack incident. So what's the damage here? Apart from immediate nosedives in value, hacks leave a sour taste in investors' mouths. Just ask the folks who lost their savings betting on Axie. Redditor stories reek of regret as they bemoan their lost fortunes. One man in the Philippines, Owen Convacar, hustled hard but ultimately saw his earnings wiped out. He heard murmurs about Axie's earning potential for months in early 2020 before he decided to enter the game as a scholar. In just 15 days, he earned $487. He soon invested another $1,200 to buy his own Axie monsters, splitting the cost 60-40 with his mom. Today, after investing over $8,000 in the ecosystem, he figures he's left with a fraction of that. Aureus drifted away from the game towards the end of last summer after his mother died of a heart attack. Her funeral wiped out his savings, including the $200 he had saved up playing Axie. I felt regret that I wasn't able to provide for my mom, he says. It's like a classic stock market bubble story, but for the developing world. So let's wrap it up. When it comes to Axie Infinity, I'm left with more questions than answers. Are the North Koreans really sophisticated enough to hire a useful idiot who gives them the keys to the treasury via malware? Also, Binance is known for laundering money for sanctioned countries. What role did they really play here? And who owned the majority of the Axies that were being leased out to scholars? We had money coming in from the global crypto ecosystem, but also money from the VC community. And of course, there's nothing the VCs love more than daily active users.
The daily active users are up, way up.
Was the VC funding going towards paying for daily active users in hopes of an eventual go public? If so, it almost seemed like a half-brilliant multi-level marketing scheme utilizing cheap labor, greed, and capital flowing like crazy into the stock market. But like all multi-level marketing schemes, it requires more players to keep bringing in money, and once that stops, it collapses like a house of cards. And that's exactly what happened here. Whether it was a function of the overall crypto market decline, a North Korean hack, or just a lack of VCs willing to keep shoveling money into it is up for debate. But mark my words, in a world where technology only gets more globalized and equity markets are flowing, stories like Axie Infinity will only become more common. They managed to make it so everyone could participate so long as they had a smartphone. And as for the hack, color me skeptical that the North Koreans hacked anything here. This reeks of Binance chasing dollar signs while putting the world at risk. But hey, maybe you guys want to trust the man who's currently under investigation by the SEC, CFTC, and DOJ. Sam Bankman-Fried did, and that worked out great for him. All right, everyone, let me know what you think in the comments section. Have you ever played Axie Infinity before? Do you think that the North Koreans actually just hacked the Axie treasury by creating a fake job application and using malware? I don't. I'm skeptical. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments section. I really appreciate all the support we've been getting on this channel and all the engagement we're getting. It's really helping us with the algorithm. If you guys could do me a big favor, smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know what you think in the comments section. All right, everybody, I love you all. So guys, we just recently launched this channel and we noticed that 99.9% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you enjoyed this video, we need your help in growing this channel. By subscribing, that would help us keep the lights on and make sure that our crews have jobs in these uncertain times. So please hit that subscribe button, and we promise to make more quality videos that I'm sure you're going to love.